Cool. Excellent. So recording started. Today is Thursday, December 11th. And as I said before, it's been the first time for me streaming for a little bit, but I will do my best to catch everyone up and also catch myself up too. Honestly, I have kind of been very detached from the charts for a little bit. So I'm just trying to catch up a little bit and figure out what's going on, what's happening, etc. So we'll start with simply put, like we'll start with USDTD. I'm gonna do my top down. Honestly, I haven't looked at it for probably about a week or so. Um, we have the main thing here on the quarterly, right? This massive quarterly candle that's now shifting to the bullish side. We're above order blocks, right? We're above major quarterly gaps right here, and above order blocks as well at the 5.5. So in the next 20 days, what this is looking like to me is possibly continued bearishness, or bearishness in the market that attributes to bullishness in USDTD, right? So with that said, let's drill down just a little bit. I'll go down to the monthly here, clean up a couple of my drawings. Let's go down to monthly. Um, Same thing here. Monthly is turning green, so effectively going red, right? Going red in the market. We have two things to note here, and I think this is now. I'm gonna delete some of these and clean this up a little bit. The biggest thing that I'm seeing right now is, and I'm gonna remove this just to be clear, is this right here. And honestly, this is probably one of the things that on the monthly chart probably stand out the most to me right now, just glancing at it, is effectively the white levels right there. We are balanced, but we are green right now in the monthly. So in 20 days, if we do not reject here and continue down, then we are probably going to see the gap. We have a double monthly right here. So the double monthly is kind of the biggest thing that has been untapped, right? The zone right here has been untapped. So I'm going to mark out just a couple spots here. Oops. So it would be this one and roughly around these order blocks. This is a very significant one at the 7.7. I'll mark that into yellow, and then we have our red right there. So 7.7 looks like a very significant one because we have not only a couple, one, two, we have three. We actually have three. We have a double inversion right here. So we have one monthly inversion, two, and then we have the untapped IRL right there. So, and the CE for the double inversion is 7.7. The CE for the untapped is roughly 7.3. So it's between 7.3 to 7.7 as the main spot here. Now, interestingly enough, I think what this means in a simplistic way is when we're talking about liquidity rotation on the higher time frames and trying to drill down into the lower time frames from that, the main purpose is to just look, try and look the one step ahead. Don't overcomplicate it. Oh, I'm sorry, I just realized my screen is not visible. I will share my screen with you guys. I literally have been recording it this whole time, but I have not actually shared it with you guys. Sorry about that. Um, Thank you for flagging that to me. Perfect. So I'm glad you can you guys see it now? I'm assuming that's the answer is yes. Cool. I'll just assume that yes. Perfect. Thank you. Perfect. Good flag. Thank you. So the main thing here is we want to just look, not to overcomplicate it, but just look the one step ahead. So I'm going to simplify this chart just a little bit and look at this monthly, right? We have green on the green candle where we opened, and then we have this opening on the high with a relative equal high on the monthly, and then an open IRL, and then we have a low that's now open based on where we are from this closure, right? If we don't move for the next 20 days, we have a couple right there as well. So all in all, sorry, my keyboard gets messed up sometimes. All in all, I think we're gonna, just from the perspective of the monthly, we want to see a clearance of this range, right, before we continue. However, this is, just one bias, right? We want to look at the perspective of all biases before we can do that. We have some big problems here where there is some very weak highs, incredibly weak highs right here. And obviously, if you use a trend, you could just do something like this and say, oh, you're marking a trend from this range, looking like the range between 7.3 to 8 is going to be some sort of major liquidation event still ahead. It could be this year, it could be next year, right? But this is now looking increasingly probable. So just to keep in mind, the monthly here is showing that. However, this is a green, so we do have, we're bearish on the monthly, but bullish on the monthly, but slightly bearish on the weekly. So if we go down further, right, we have this relative equal high. I would expect it to break this, and we have a very clean, so I'm going to do some fibs actually from this entire range. Let's try that actually first. This should line up on OTEs right about where we want to see a rejection, right? So actually, yeah, the 705 and the 7.9 lines up almost perfectly between, if you notice right here, right between 7.3 and 7.07. So I'm digging this area here. I do like this area here. However, how do we get there is the question, right? When we're talking about what we look for next, I'm going to say, let's keep drilling down, right? Keep drilling down. So on the daily, we are seeing lower lows still. We don't quite have structure yet for the bullish side. So I'll just flag this in red, right? We need to retain this bias. We need to break, I'm going to say green, right? We need to break green on the daily. So by the end of December, we need to be under 5.8 in order to retain a bullish sentiment on crypto, right? However, if we're unable to do that and we break this high first, then the bearish side will continue. So it's just something to keep in mind here. I am cautiously bullish on things, right? Cautiously bullish because it has been an absolute, mind bender of look at this. I mean, this is the past, since February, this whole year, since friggin' last year, it's literally been nothing. Look at that, just literally just up and down and up. This is a barcode. This is not a bull run. This is just indecision on the macro. This is a macro indecision. Everyone thinking, hey, we're so bullish, and then everyone thinking, hey, we're so bearish. And then this is what I'm seeing, right? Everyone's so bullish, everyone's so bearish, or vice versa. Everyone's so bearish, right? Everyone's so bullish, and then just the sentiment switching on like a coin flip. And the macro sentiment flipping on a coin flip, which doesn't attribute to good trading conditions, to be honest, right? Because you can't have long ROI moves, you can't have high ROI moves. You have to scalp, you have to do smaller time frame moves, and if you're just successful there. So daily wise, it looks like we're going to consolidate here. I want to see a break. I want to see a break of 5.8 to continue. Weekly is still red, so I'm a little optimistic there, and we actually do have, actually this is pretty dense. The weekly is pretty dense. The daily looks good. The daily looks good because we do have relative equal low right here. So slightly bullish on the market. Very slightly bullish on the market. However, the problem is that once we get down here, if we continue to consolidate again, then all that's going to happen is we're going to take this low eventually, right? And that'll be on the monthly. It could be next year, but when we do, that'll be the time to look to go heavy on things. But moving on, let's look at the big stuff, right? Bitcoin. I should have kept my short back when I was short all the way up here in August, but I never kept it because I trimmed it and then it just reversed. It wanted to take this high only to drop down, which is exactly what I sort of expected. Now, what's interesting is this range here was tapped, right? I honestly haven't updated my chart for, I don't know, since early November, late October, right? So we are now in a spot here where we have, and I'm going to make this incredibly simple. I'm going to switch the color of this. We have a bearish market structure break. This is a bearish market structure break. So, but it's bearish on the internal. So we have an internal range here. We have one range, right? One range consolidation followed by another range consolidation. And then we have a break of this one, right? We broke the low. So what does that mean? We want to measure our range from this low to the high to get our bias. So in this case, really what I'm looking for is a weekly rejection, right? A continuation of a bullish scenario, but a rejection on the bearish range for the weekly. So really what I want to see now is this weekly or the monthly to make the closures, and then us to be able to get above 98K, possibly above 103. And I want to see this high taken right here, this one. This is the key one when I'm going to put a little teal marker there, because this is perfect for the bearish OTE range on the monthly, on the high time frame, and taking the high of the previous month first would signal that we're actually going to continue bearish, but first, like on the higher time frames, right? And aim for 66K. So really what I'm looking for is this, to put it simply, right? So I'll draw that on the weekly and the monthly, which means that effectively we get a liquidation of shorts on the lower time frames, and I use lower kind of a very loosely. By lower I mean on the daily, right? Sometime by maybe this year or early next year, right? Where we see some sort of push into early next year, and then a continued rejection into the following year. So right now I'm bullish. I'm bullish in the case of where we are now, but I want to see more consolidation, that is bullish consolidation, where we liquidate shorts on the low time frames to build ourselves into a higher time frame bearish bias, right? Because right now this alone is our first market structure break for this range, right? However, we haven't broken this range. All we did was we confirmed the we confirmed the bullish OTEs of that previous range. So if I draw the same fibs from this low to this high, look at that. This is not random, guys. The 602 all the way down to the 7.9 was tapped into. We're basically right now smack dab in the bullish bias. And if we can get closures above 91, 92, 93 on the daily, then I would say next year we have a rally, and we rally into the 100 to the 113 range. So if we rally into the 100 and 113 range, that would be perfect for a high time frame short into the 66K range, just because this daily and this weekly range already had a bearish market structure break. In my mind, I think Bitcoin has topped out, and literally what we saw with the October 10th liquidation event is just the bearish market structure break, and the only way to confirm that bearish structure and the fact that Bitcoin will not make a new all-time high is if we do liquidate shorts first here and then retest this previous range, right? That would be my bias, and I would still want to keep hold until we basically shift towards Bitcoin moving to 66K, possibly in 2 years from now, right? So the next move up will be the short, and I'll probably try and signal that as well. I'll be patiently waiting because I do want to see, I have an alert already at this range. I should probably make another one. I'll make a daily close. I'll do greater than daily close right at, this is right at 98K. So I'll do BTC 1D short watch. This will be an amazing short if we can get this break first, right? So that's Bitcoin. How about a break of all-time high? Well, that would be the invalidation, right? For the short here, we'd have to have a consolidation above 120. Basically between, like, if we can, this wick could go all the way up to like 117, even 120, to be honest, all the way up to 120. But I would still be bullish, right? Because this could be a daily wick that we would, or sorry, I would still be bearish, right? Because this could be a wick that could still close under 120. And if we are unable to close daily closures above 120 after we're above 100 in either within the same weekly or monthly candle, right? If we're remembering the higher time frames, then really all this is going to be, it's going to be a very, very high time frame liquidation event of shorts just to confirm the move of short bias, right? All the way back down to 60 and possibly lower. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. And honestly, this structure alone, the fact that we wicked the high 3 times, that is incredibly telling. The liquidations here are so tight that the only thing left is the 126. And if we can't close above 120 on the daily, then this thing is going to go all the way back down to 60, possibly under 60, right, on the high time frame. Because then at that point, the high time frame all-time high will be confirmed, right? So I'm going to take a moment there and reflect that just because Bitcoin, I think, had its all-time high, doesn't mean that crypto as a whole has had an all-time high. I think we're probably going to see the biggest altcoin run. That is, I'm still going to be completely adamant with this. The biggest altcoin run we've ever seen in our lifetimes. My macro hasn't failed me, and if you guys remember, I was marking this part up here as effectively the all-time the alt season bottom box, I think I was calling it, if I recall correctly. We dipped into it, rejected, and now if the weekly is unable to make another higher high here, we already wicked into this. Weekly. This yellow still is valid, right? I would expect a total shift, an absolute and total shift of the macro. Excuse me, of the macro here, where we have certain altcoins, right? Not every altcoin. There are certain altcoins that are terrible. There are certain ones that are good. But that's tricky to pick your altcoins correctly. But you got to work on the fundamentals a little bit too. But for what it's worth, you could start simple. What I want to see on BTCD is something as just as much as yellow, right? Where we see over the next year or two, eventually it wicking all the way down, right, to possibly under 46, 49, 46 and I have this red line here, end of next year. So, 2 years from now, right? 2 years from now, within the next 2 years, we're probably going to see the biggest altcoin that we've seen in our lifetimes. Altcoin run. Looking at it the same way, right? We could look at ETH BTC. ETH is also a good proxy, right? ETH BTC here. We closed above these monthly ranges. As you saw, guys, I literally just pulled up this chart, and it's still relevant, right? It's still relevant. We wicked into this range. We are now closing back above. We don't need to go all the way back below here. We could tap this range later or now. It doesn't matter. But it's one of those things that I think we're at the turning point here, where if we see one more, we could see one more push down, right? Some either, and maybe I'll clean this up just a tad. Um, but what I want to see here is possibly one more push down, right? And then a continuation after. Sorry, my computer's going a little slow here. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in ETH BTC. Little bullish as well, but I'm cautiously bullish because I do want to see this range tapped on ETH BTC. It doesn't need to be, right? Though on the monthly, we could still, actually, yeah, it looks like it's going to be January, February, March. February, March. If we can't flip 003, if we can't close above this, like basically right above, I'm going to put in like a yellow line here, right? Pure price action, looking at this monthly order block, right? We have a monthly order block plus this monthly gap right there, which we're basically just tapping right into. We need to close above both of those on the monthly, which is in 20 days. If we can't close above those, then we're going to see teal play out, right? Where we push up a little bit more and then just sweep down again. But I'm glad I'm looking through this because actually this is refreshing my memory a little bit because I haven't seen some of these charts since I charted them a while ago. I can adjust this slightly. I think we basically want to see some sort of range here build into one more sweep. We have, we have these nice wicks here. We have possibly one more wick left to make a new low, and then we continue on in our merry way, right? Some sort of other liquidation wick coming up after all of this. But I do see us pushing in the very short term, right? Very short term, possibly into the new year, right? New year, maybe on the yearly close, right? Here's our yearly candle. I'll pull up the yearly candle right here. Look at that, right? Yearly candle, that actually looks pretty good. Yeah, because in 20 days, this yearly candle closes. It's red, which means that we're going to probably see a retracement on the yearly range. So let me clean this up just a little bit, right? If I clean these levels up just a tad and then draw the fibs against this yearly range, notice how the levels line up almost perfectly, right? Almost perfectly to where we want to see that retracement, which means that possibly into next year, we see another heavy duty long liquidation event. So next year, be prepared for that, and we should be okay, right? If you're prepared for it, possibly taking out this previous quarterly low. We have a quarterly low right here. That's pretty interesting. 0.2266 and 0.2341 monthly, same thing, right? So basically want to see something like that move. So I'm going to draw this out just a tad bit more here. This would be the ideal move right here now, right? So clean this up, and there it is, right? And then this wick, right, would extend such a way that would, you could draw a line here and eventually say, oh, this is probably where it's going to be, maybe so May, June, April, May, June, we start to see some slow bleeding, and then a very, very heavy bleed, and then a bounce, and then a reconsolidation, and then after that we should see a higher high from the monthly, right? Same thing there. If we do that, then we do a higher high on the monthly, then we're off to the races, guys. Like after that, all of this, literally all of that is smooth liquidity. Because what's going to happen is as soon as we close this monthly above this monthly order block here, it's just going to do, it won't even need to come back, right? It'll just do this. It'll just go straight up from there. So we are very, very close to what looks like to be a major, major, major run, but that could last, quite some time. But we just want to be careful until then. So enough about that. Feel free to post in chat if you guys have any recommendations for coins you want to take a look at. I will mention I am in XCH a little bit, but all in all, I think what I should also mention is I do probably expect it to possibly wick down again to 3 or 2 in the new year. So I'm going to clear this up a little bit, but I'm long right here right now. with the expectation we possibly do something like this and then reject again, right? And then continue on from there. So XCH, yes, I'm going to ask for tau. Yes, exactly. So what I want to do here is basically just do long scalps. Or short scalps. You can't, I mean, anything right now. You can really only scalp anything in my mind. But I do want to see either a lower low to enter from, or or a higher low. If we're able to hold and sustain this move, then I would expect a higher low to continue, right? At which point I would want to see that structure play out. However, this is going to be incredibly choppy, right? This whole range is going to be incredibly choppy because everyone's looking at this from the perspective of either having bullish or bias lens, and bulls and bears are going to fight for making a higher low or making a lower low, right? So first off, let's look at tau. Yeah, so I marked up tau a while ago, and looks like it worked from October. I was like, I should take my own trades, maybe. Maybe I never did. But one thing interesting with tau here is I do like this range. The weekly, right? The weekly and the monthly show we wicked this low already. So even if we do go down a little bit, it might go down to 200, right? 200-ish to retrace this wick. We just tapped the 6-2. All we need now is we need a higher high right here. So I'm going to clean that up, right? So yellow, we need to break. I know we have a lot of yellows, but we need to break, 316 now. If we can break 316, then this is going to play out, right? We're going to have a break of the higher high, and then you're going to be able to, I'll just clean this up a little bit. Right, something like this, and something like this. If we break this high and then reconsolidate to this low, then we would have to have the move from there. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I know. At 290, exactly. Everyone was skeptical. I mean, it's just patience, right? You just gotta be patient. The levels don't, as I like to say, the levels don't lie. And when I was calling for and I should have kept some of my other trades, right? My other shorts from Bitcoin, because I called the Bitcoin short at like 128, 123 or 120, and then I just never kept it. So I was just like, but now it's just a matter of waiting, right? I'm bullish here. I am not bearish. I'm bullish here because we are in the bullish range, right? So I want to see, if you want to see confirmation, you want to see the break of 316, and then possibly reconsolidation under, and I'll put a little teal line here, right? 278, right? So basically this range here, you want to see this play out right there. If we do see that, then we're probably good for at least another retest of 500, right? I mean, I'm not going to do all the way up here, but at least another retest of 500. After that, though, you'd have to see whether or not we can make a new high again, right? If we can't make a new high, then I would expect it to reconsolidate again, right? Same thing. So tau, bullish here. I mean, the project itself also very bullish. I'm very bullish on this project. This project is incredibly good. For those of you who don't know tau, I love this project. It's really good. And it's one of those coins that actually literally does have value. And I work in cybersecurity and AI. So like this is like this is a legit coin, right? This is not like some, garbage coin. They have a really good plan and everything. And the fact that we cleared these lows down here, this is amazing as well, right? We took this low down here. This is all we're going to see here is a consolidation. I think now is the time under 300, guys. I think if you see this under 300, from 300 to 200, this is the buy, right? This is the buy, because no matter what happens, even if we reject it, even if we reject at 500 again, it's not going to come under again. I don't think it's going to come under 300 again. It might just go to 320 and then continue going, right? That's my point. Right now is the time to be buying it if you think, long-term perspective. So I might be actually now. Thanks for tap and towel. I might be picking up some towel myself probably in the next hour or two, and then just keep buying it right under anything under 300. Set limits or something. If you want to make your stop loss low enough, like put it all the way at 133. Make sure your risk size enough, right? Keep it all the way at 133, and then just just forget about it, right? Don't even touch it, because even if we do this, you can make a trim at like 500. And then just rebuy again under like 360, right? Because what's going to happen, and mark my words, guys, what's going to happen is even if we don't make a higher high initially on the daily, we already cleared the lows. So this is probably never going to see under 300 again, even on a retest. So it's going to be one of those things that just does this, right? It'll make a higher high, but then it will make a higher low, and then it will make a higher high again, and then it'll make a higher low until it basically just goes parabolic, possibly in the next three-ish years, right? So that's something that I'll keep here. I'm going to make this official, right? Just so you guys are aware, I don't mess around, and when I try and tell you guys things, I'm going to put this on the chart, and then, when we come back to it, possibly, next year, we can look and reflect, right? And see whether or not I was correct. So I'll keep this up here, and then we'll go from there, right? So that'll be what I have for this one. What other coins am I looking at? Great question. Let's see. I would say Casper, CSPR, and I think that's the main one. I know I have a few others, but it's been a while since I'm going to have to get back into the game. It's been, honestly, haven't really traded much too. Pi, that's another good one. I know right now it looks like garbage, but actually it's doing the same thing that I expected it to sort of do, is break this low and now reconsolidate. All it's doing is it's going back into the long bias here. Oops, sorry. So yeah, same thing here. I would expect this to also do the exact same thing. If it doesn't sweep, it could sweep. It doesn't need to. Basically just do something like this, where it breaks and then continues to make higher lows, right, on the daily. And one thing to note about Pi is that we've basically consolidated now. This is completed its full cycle. We have more than enough liquidity sweeps. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 liquidity sweeps on the daily, and we have a daily market structure break right here. If you notice, this is very, very secret, like not secret, but very, very subtle. I'm going to say subtle, right? If you notice right here, I'm going to draw a vertical line from this previous high right there. Look at that. Right at yellow, I'll make this yellow. Right at that yellow line, we broke that high, right? That is a signal, and I'll even make it even more accurate right here, right? This daily. That is a signal to say that this is basically bottoming out, right? We wicked the low, we took the high. Now all it's doing is it's going to try and make a new low. If it can't make a new low, what's going to happen? It's going to consolidate and then make another new high, right? So this is another one that's going to eventually just do like compress, consolidate, compress, and then burst open, right? Burst open like crazy, possibly all the way up, right? All the way up to like $1, easily from here. So and right now, it's at 20 cents, right? Over the course of the next year. So range on this one looks great. And same thing with Casper. I think Casper is another one which I've followed very closely. Everyone thinks it's a shitcoin, but I'll be honest, I think it's one of those hidden gems where it looks like garbage at first, but when you just take a moment and you realize what's happening, right, on the higher time frames, what it's doing is it's making a liquidation wick, right? It's making a liquidation wick, taking out every single short, only to keep. And I love this structure right here, the fact that we have multiple relative equal highs all at the same spot, and the fact that we have an actual equal high up here and then an actual open weekly all the way up here, right? There's so much structure to this. Even though it looks like there's nothing, there still is, right? And if you think about it, like if you just took, low leverage, because it's, and here's zero. Zero is like right all the way down here. If you low leverage, just basically add in once every week, even if it goes down like this, the moment it makes closures above any of this, the wick that's going to happen afterwards is going to be so substantial, it'll be worth it, right? And I think this will be one of those winners that happen over the course of the next year as well. So that is, I'm keeping a heavy watch on as well. So yeah, hopefully that answers your guys' questions. If you guys have any, and there's no change of structure here yet, and this one doesn't have a change of structure, but this is one of those that you just want to watch. But we are very, very close to having some sort of change of structure, at least on the daily, because if you notice here, we have a few spots where we can break, right? We have a yellow right there. We have a yellow right here. All we need now is to see one of those broken, right? We see one of those break, and then we are good, right? So I'll wait on those, but that is almost ready. Yes, pi is good. Keep an eye on that. And yeah, D0, let me know if you have any other questions. Anyone else, if you have any questions, my digital doors are open all the time. I am willing to, answer any questions if you have DMs or whatever. I will try and post this stream on my YouTube, and I will also mention earlier. Oh, and yes, to answer your question about which exchange I use, I primarily use MEXC. I have been using it for years. I know there's been a lot of debate about its validity. And I'll be honest, I have spoken to the customer service. I've worked with their services for years. Have never had any issues. My friend, I have a couple other friends who work with them as well. Also, never had any issues. So I don't know. I guess it depends on, some people maybe having worse experiences than others. But I will say I've never had any bad experiences with it so far. So until I do, I'm gonna just keep using it. So yeah, that's I use MEXC primarily. So, but with that said, I'm going to head off. But yes, thanks again. I will try and get back in the swing of things, and we can keep going on these live streams on a more regular cadence. But for now, stay green. I'll catch you all later, and thanks again for joining me. Have a good rest of your day.